team, it's time for the Daily Detangler. Let's talk about embracing uncomfortable. I don't know about you, but I've had to learn techniques and approaches to be uncomfortable and to be okay with that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the idea of common sense, what I've learned about knowledge, and ways to be more externally focused as we become more uncomfortable to drive change with catalysts. Common sense is not common practice. Have you seen this play out in the world around you, where what you believe is common sense is something that's simple that other people should embrace, or perhaps you've seen it play out in the go-to-market system where marketers may need to apply what you consider to be common sense, or maybe salespeople need to apply common sense, and or maybe just in the world around you where people driving or in the coffee shop, they just don't seem to have common sense to you. What is common sense? Common sense is the idea that the collective action of the group is acceptable. And not only that, it's most likely to result in the best outcome. So it's like almost like a herd mentality. And what I've recognized is the herd mentality doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Why is that? Well, we've learned through the course of interacting with each other that there's an alternative approach. And this go to customer lens to fight productitis, where we apply our principles and engage with one another collaboratively, that's starting to emerge as a common sense approach to us. But it's not common sense to everybody. Have you thought about that? What we're doing right now and how we're engaging and working with each other, and the language we're developing on our team and the interactions that we have are not common. And one of the things that I've recognized in that, as I've meditated and used Headspace, is the more we are comfortable with what we're doing, the less common sense we will have to other people. By that, I mean people like Galileo or Roger Bannister or Elon Musk, or who's that guy on the right? Oh, wrong picture. Sorry. They have no common sense either. I mean, have you heard how people talk about catalysts sometimes? You know, he's has no common sense. Well, yeah, he's not common. He has no common sense. He doesn't align with the herd, and we don't either. And when you look at what's happening in that type of environment to break free from status quo, one of the things that I've had to come to grips with is knowledge is not power. The more I've learned and the more knowledge I've acquired doesn't matter. It doesn't matter unless it's applied. And at first I thought that was a bit of a cliche or a aspiration. Yeah, you know, have to go apply it. But when you think about the trillions of terabytes of data and knowledge that are created on a monthly basis across the world, you know, I wonder if we have enough knowledge. Sometimes maybe there's too much knowledge and not enough acting, not enough engaging, not enough evolving. These verbs are about moving forward and then actually breaking free of the status quo and breaking free of common sense. It's interesting to think about this idea that to create new common sense about a go to customer system, and what we believe is common sense, we have to break free from those who have herd mentality and common sense. Their knowledge is their power. And that makes our opportunity massive, but it also requires us to think together differently and build C slides, right? This is what I've learned about the importance of trying to get the word out, because there's so much volume of knowledge. And how do we create something that's tangible when we're engaging and acting and evolving? What's the proof of tangible there? And that's really empowering, and it's also quite the call to action to me, and something that I want to keep working on. When I look at the idea of getting outside my comfort zone and embracing uncomfortable, I tend to think about what's the difference between being comfortable and uncomfortable. And it's a new perspective. The more I've become comfortable with the uncomfortable, the more aware I've become. And the more aware I've become, the more I realize the amount of tunnel vision I had, and the myopic lens I had. The more I try to collaborate, the more I realize how siloed I was. The more I try to innovate, like with these daily detanglers, the more I realize how plugged in I was to the status quo. How, the more I take accountability for team outcomes and owning my role to support Catalyst, the more accountable I am to that, the more I realize that it's not about what I can control. And the more I engage in the broader landscape and the environment and the community, in the actual productitis lens and fighting productitis, and I see and I filter through that and I engage with my teammates, the more I realize how much I was shitting on people. They should do this and they should do that. And all of those things I'm leaving behind are actually what I embraced. It's the kind of the trippy part. I was super comfortable with those things on the left, but look at how those things can hold me back. So an outward lens, in recognizing that Catalyst is out on a limb and he's the focal point of being outwardly focused, the more I can embrace the uncomfortable. And this idea to me has a lot of principles, obviously having courage, and the idea that getting out there and being uncomfortable requires courage to fail, and to learn from that, and that's okay. It also has to do with the idea of it's the experience, and the experience is more like hang gliding and leading with me and what I've learned. The value of this concept, though, of getting uncomfortable, to me really is about connecting the dots. The more I can connect the dots to each situation, each of my teammates, each of the principles, each of the idea, the concepts and the ideas that we have in our documents and C slides, the more critical mass, so to speak, I can build, and the more I can anchor to the uncomfortable. This idea of principle 6, connecting the dots, is really intriguing to me as I think about even the use of pronouns and who I'm connecting the dots with. So that's a pebble for today, this idea that change happens one connection at a time. And the connections we make are in the uncomfortable. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. In fact, it's a little bit required. It's a must-have, actually. It's not a little bit required, it's a lot required to drive change and to be a change agency, working as change agents in a changing ecosystem. So change happens one connection at a time. Be a little uncomfortable today, and maybe that's how you can add your pebble. Thanks for joining me today. Look forward to working with you and connecting with you and getting uncomfortable together. As always, check out dailydetangler.com, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.